Hey, what's up guys? Alex here, back with another video on the World Othello Championship 2024, and this is round 5. So, I was kind of fortunate. I don't think I've ever done it before, but I was on 4 consecutive wins, 4 out of 4 for this time round, and kind of leading into the 5th game. Obviously, I'll be expecting to meet the very top players because only the very top players would likely be at this stage. So I wasn't too surprised to kind of meet Song Yan from China, who's the number 1 uh, player from China, and at the same time, he's well known to be one of the top kind of 4 or 5 people who are non-Japanese that are capable to kind of step into the World Championship and actually genuinely vie for a semi-final spot. So Song Yan and I are actually personal friends, and we're quite close. So it's always difficult to play with close friends, and he's a great person, and I think just kind of talking Othello wise, he's probably one of the players that I haven't really kind of quite figured out, because he always has a different opening, different variation. He always prepares something different, and he has always something rare. So I think that's probably what makes him so difficult to deal with. I would say he kind of positions himself in a way that he is able to probably deal with most other players. So I think most players that actually give him problems is just the Japanese players who have a very strong book. So interesting. So in this game I was black and he was white, and he played a perpendicular and I played a black opening to Commoth. So what I wasn't sure was from a Commoth perspective. So I think in terms of opening, I knew that he knows my Shaman opening well, and I don't think that would be suitable to play against a top tier player like Song Yan himself. So I decided to go with like the more conservative kind of Tiger to come off and try a different variation. So I think the 13 move here, B3, is actually the variation, but I think he replied me pretty quickly, and he seemed to be very familiar with the book. So over here, up to the 17th move, over here, I did miss one move over here, which I think the best move here should be A4, but I elected to just go with the F4 to kind of centralize. So afterwards he played B5, and over here I was stuck for a while, because what happened here, I do kind of want to confess here that I actually was tempted to a certain extent, because what happened here was that Song Yan actually forgot to press his clock. And in the opening stage, it's actually pretty common for players to actually kind of forget to press their clock. And, if you didn't tell your opponent probably wouldn't realize until kind of 5, 10, 15 minutes later, until it becomes too obvious that, you're not thinking, and, you're just kind of waiting for time to go by. But at the same time, I was thinking, but it was just that I was running on his time. So knowing Song Yan and how strong he is, and when I was 4 out of 4, I was a bit tempted to kind of want to let his time run by a little bit more while thinking on his time. But given how close he and I are, and he's done me so many favors and made the trip so well, I didn't really want to do that, because it would be unsportsmanlike. So I would say to everyone here, it's better to kind of just come clean and just be honest, and just have a good sportsman like behavior, because I think that usually builds good karma, and that good karma would eventually come back to help you. So what I did was eventually, I think after 2 minutes reasonably kind of thinking, and then I decided to kind of just make my move and just make it clear that he hasn't tapped his clock. So I think the kind of hesitation or the temptation to kind of think about that did impact my move selection. I don't think C1 was the best move. The only reason for C1 was to actually just kind of cut off the C3 to B4 mini diagonal just to control. And even if it did A4, I would still be able to use A5 to control it. So that was the kind of thought process behind that move. But yeah, white basically had a very simple kind of 1-2 moves in a row on C7, D7. So it didn't really impact him that much. And I think after a few moves later here, he's already leading maybe plus 12. So I wasn't really in a good shape, and I was affected by my decision to kind of even consider doing anything unsportsmanlike. But I didn't really want to go down that route because I know that if I do it, it would come back in bad karma to kind of haunt me. So I did come clean, and I did apologize to him just to make it clear that I considered it, but I never really wanted to do anything unsportsmanlike for him. So basically, over here, I played here without thinking that much because this was actually very bad move. Typically, I would just go for b7, just a simple x square, b7, maybe f7, and then followed by e8. That would be a better sequence, which leaves kind of f7 still white, so that I have one more move to g6. But playing kind of e8 first and then kind of jumping in to b8 to force c8 didn't seem quite good because I forgot that white actually has a very easy move to d2. So basically, the game was pretty much over when I realized white cut. When I didn't realize white's f8 actually just kind of quickly contributed back to the axis for d2. So it was almost pointless to kind of give up c1 and create a frame so that white can kind of centralize within that frame. So yeah, after this move was exchanged, I knew I was gone because Song Yan has kind of firm control of the interior, and I didn't have much moves on the outside. So over here, I think the remaining sequence was just kind of me struggling to kind of retain as many discs as possible. And of course, Song Yan did a great job to kind of just sweep the disc out in a perfect manner. So you can see the swindle, followed by the swindle, and then a cover. So yeah, I lost in probably a very bad way, just being a little tempted to kind of use time to my advantage and making the wrong move. So I would say always just focus on your moves. Yeah, I think the good thing about it is just I approached Song Yan after this game and I just gave him a formal apology just to make it clear that I have no intention to take his time. But to him, 2 minutes of time is nothing because he ended the game with much more time on the clock, like maybe 18 minutes, I guess. I don't know, but basically, yeah, he wasn't impacted by the time at all, and he just thought that it was pretty much a joke for me to kind of come up to him and just talk about this one. So yeah, so I think that's the end of round 5, and I'll see you in the next one for round 6.